What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is Media Reacts with JRod, and I'm your host, JRod. So, I didn't think I was going to be doing a reaction video tonight, but given the circumstances, I just had to. I had to. There was no way I could avoid this. This was just way too. I had to do some type of reaction about this. Now, as you guys could see from the title of this video, it's going to be about Dr. Fauci's congressional hearing. I have to say, guys, I wanted to be sure that there wasn't any biased perspective from the media, so I took a moment and I watched the entire hearing, which was long. It was almost 3 hours watching that hearing. And I could not believe that it was true. Dr. Fauci pleading the fifth so many times. I couldn't believe that it was actually true, because anybody would think, well, why would somebody want to plead the Fifth Amendment so many times for, especially if they did nothing wrong? But it is true. I sat through that entire congressional hearing, and I heard Dr. Fauci over and over and over again pleading the Fifth Amendment. I couldn't believe it. There were moments where pleading the Fifth Amendment was ridiculous because the questions were very simple, had nothing to do with COVID-19 at all. And then there were some really serious questions that he was pleading the fifth on. And at that point, I just started to get more and more aggravated watching. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I'm sure most people watching couldn't believe what they were seeing either. One of the thoughts that came to my mind as I was watching this, guys, is how can somebody keep such a straight face? How could someone keep such a straight face in a situation like this? I just don't understand how someone could do that. I don't understand. I can't fathom how someone could have a poker face while being asked these serious questions. I don't understand. I've even contemplated, do some of these people, when they go to trial like this, when they've done something so terrible, do they get high or something? Do they take a drug? Whether it's an illegal narcotic or whether it's a prescribed drug where they feel no emotions? I really wonder, aside from people who are total sociopaths and or psychopaths, how could somebody have a straight face like this? So having some type of drug in your system is the only explanation I could think of to numb yourself from the emotion or the feelings of guilt and shame that comes with that. I can't understand it. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what I watched, and it's probably the most popular out of everything. And it's when Senator Josh Hawley is questioning him. because this was the part where it was like, okay, these questions are not questions to plead the fifth about. So what's going on here is my question. So we're going to watch it together, guys. And this is crazy.
Senator Olling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it? By the way,
speaking of carpet, that is a nice carpet. Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the carpets in government buildings. I've always been fascinated by them. Just one of the things that, and like, you know, the American flag, the way those rooms look, just makes you feel patriotic. At least in my case, I feel patriotic.
Today.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
What color tie is he wearing? Anyways, is that like a navy blue with blue circles, blue dots, or is that like a? I think that's a dark navy blue tie.
Advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Dude, like, you can't even answer what color tie you're wearing? I don't understand the logic behind this. I really don't, guys. This is crazy. Would have been funny if you would have asked, what color is your hair?
Color's the carpet in front of you.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people.
Guys, this is like, this is serious. This is one of those things where I'm at a loss for words, guys. I don't think I've been following politics on and off since I was about 14. Yeah, I think 14, because that was when Obama first ran, when he was still a candidate with Hillary in the Democratic primaries. That's how long I've been following politics on and off through the years. But I gotta say, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. I don't think I've ever seen something like this before. This is new for me. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. I don't think, to my knowledge, at least, I could be wrong, and if I am, please let me know, guys. But I don't even think Hillary or Bill Clinton, I don't even think they did this, pleading the fifth, so many times. I don't even think they did it. Not saying that they're innocent of anything that they've been accused of lately, but I'm just saying I don't recall them ever constantly pleading the fifth.
But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic, you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you?
Guys, I saw part of this congressional hearing. I saw the part where if I'm not mistaken, it was about 8 federal employees that he had apply for awards for him. And that is illegal. And either most of them or all of them were probably cash awards or something along the lines. But either way, that is illegal to use federal employees to apply for awards. That's not something you do. So I couldn't believe when I saw that either. And what did Fauci do? Again, he pled the fifth. He pled the fifth.
That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Your chief of staff is the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
Now, the reason that I chose to watch this entire congressional hearing, guys, was because you know how the media can be. The media can come up with all types of accusations, all types of stories, all types of lies. So I wanted to watch this entire hearing to be sure that their claim was true about Dr. Fauci pleading the Fifth Amendment so many times. And besides his opening statement, because that was the only time he ever spoke outside of the Fifth Amendment. That was the only time, which was in the beginning of the congressional hearing. Every single question that was asked of him all resulted in him pleading the Fifth Amendment. I couldn't believe it. 3 hours worth of pleading the Fifth Amendment. I lost. They say 111 times. I lost count after the first 10, 15. I lost count because I was saying to myself, "This is crazy. This is unbelievable." I've never seen something like this before.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020 when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. Folkers says, I'm working on this.
There we go. The cash award. Sorry, guys. I don't remember every single thing in the video because it was just such a long congressional hearing. But here we go.
Nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
Gosh. That is crazy.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award.
Whoa. Sure. I'll just pull that out of my nose. Yeah. Oh my gosh. $900,000 award? Like as if you don't make it. I looked up his salary, Dr. Fauci's salary. And if I'm not mistaken, towards like the end of his career, he was making around, again, you guys can correct me on this, but I believe, actually, you know what? Let me look it up right now because I don't want to misquote. What was Dr. Fauci's salary? Oh. By the time he was at the end of his career, which he retired in December 2022, his annual salary was $480,000 and change. So $480,654, and It doesn't say cents here, but let's just round it, $481,000. Just give or take. That is an incredible amount of money. And it says here that made him the highest paid employee in the U.S. federal government, surpassing the $400,000 salary of the U.S. president. That is crazy. And then before that, on 2020, $434,000 and cents. And change. 2019, 417,000 and change. So Fauci was not poor, okay? He was not poor at all. Oh, excuse me. Wow. Okay, I just looked up here. What is his pension? His retirement. So it says Dr. Anthony Fauci's federal retirement pension is estimated to be approximately $350,000 to over $414,000 per year, widely reported as the largest federal government pension in U.S. history. Why does he need? That's more money than what Obama gets as his federal presidential pension. That is crazy. I can't believe it, guys. That is nuts. What do you need $900,000 more for? Buying what are you doing? Buying a rocket ship?
$900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Dang. Here they are over my shoulder.
Here's the list.
Besides the Dan David Award, you've got the partnership.
See. Oh, I was right. 8 federal employees to apply for the awards. Wow. So let's see. I'm just thinking here. Okay, 8 federal employees. Let's say hypothetically, each award was anywhere from like $200,000 to $1 million, and he had 8 federal employees applying for these awards. Do the math on how much money he could have gotten from that.
For public service, you've got the Adelson Prize, you've got the Smithsonian Award, you've got the National Academy of Medicine's Award, you've got the CDC Foundation. In fact, you turned your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
Wow. So not only would he be guilty for those crimes, regarding COVID, but he would also be guilty of, I wonder if that would be considered racketeering or money laundering or something. I wonder if that could fall under those categories somehow, or something related to that, because that's a lot of money. Yeah, like another thought I would have is, well, was his wife just so unhappy with his salary that she needed more money?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the 5th Amendment to the Constitution.
Here they are right over my shoulder. Here's all of them. The people that you use, federal employees, so that you could go and get cash money. And the most hilarious part is that you weren't content to even dragoon them into applying for all of these cash awards. You then had them go out to the ethics agencies and ethics watchdogs and demand that you be able to get the money. That's right. We've got it in your emails.
Wow.
Your staff and employees on federal time, using federal resources, being paid with federal dollars, are soliciting cash for you. And then they're turning around and saying to the agency, we don't want just an answer. We want to get to yes, because Fauci wants the money. He wants it. We want to get to yes, and yes takes time.
But what for though? Like you already have a pretty big salary. What do you want all that money for? What, did you want to buy a new house? Did you want to get a yacht? Like what was the I don't understand what the goal was. If it was just to get more rich or just to get more money, then that, to me, that's just stupid. But like, did you want to get a new mansion? Did you want to buy a home in Italy or France or the UK? Like what was the reason? Like, why did you want to live in Beverly Hills? What happened here?
This is your chief of staff again, using federal email to pressure the agency's own ethics people so that you could get money, so that you could get rich. And it violated the law, didn't it, Dr. Fauci?
Oh, and by the way, our taxpayer dollars and our money that we pay goes to Dr. Fauci too.
Didn't it? It violated the law, didn't it?
Is that a question?
It is a question. You can answer. Go ahead.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Federal law, as you very well know, prohibits the solicitation of cash awards or other personal benefits for federal employees.
Wow.
And it certainly prohibits using your own employees to do this.
Wow.
5 CFR section 2635-205B.
I could understand why it's forbidden, because then it's like you're cheating. You're essentially, one of the things is you're cheating to get money by using multiple people to apply for things. Because then if you do that, there's a higher chance of you winning whatever reward it is. So you're cheating, basically. So that's one way to look. That's one way to look at it.
It says it right there in black and white. You cannot use federal resources, federal dollars, federal employees, federal offices, federal email, federal time to solicit cash awards. And you did all of it. And the worst part is thousands of people were dying while you were doing it. You were supposed to be the nation's doctor, and you're playing one on TV. But this is what you were doing with your time. Isn't that true?
Man.
Your team,
Guys,
and your
again,
agents
I am
are
at a
working
loss
together on
for words.
Monday.com's
This is-
AI.
It's really it's saddening as well, because again, like Senator Josh said, so many people died because of this, and unbelievable.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah, I can see why. I can certainly see why. You
Yeah.
know what I can't quite figure out is that why you were so obsessed with it, because you're already rich. I mean, and your
Exactly.
scheme worked here.
That's my question.
I mean, your net worth now is north of $12 million. You got over $1 million in cash awards during COVID, during a 12-month, 24-month span during COVID.
Like, you could dine at pretty much any restaurant you wanted, almost whenever you wanted. Let's see, 48,000 towards the end of his career, 48,000 a year. So then, if we want to include taxes, that's what? Let me do the math here. Divide that by 12, because you get your salary a month. So 48,000 divided by 12. That's $40,000 a month. That's $40,000 a month. So you could, not only would all your bills be paid, and all insurances that you have to pay and everything, but you could dine anywhere you want, whenever you want, pretty much. You could go on vacation anywhere you want. You could You could do. You're living the dream of what many people wish they could do. Many good people too. What I just don't understand the motivation.
$1,000,000 you knocked down in cash money using federal resources. Now you're worth more than $12 million. You've got a pension that in its first year paid out north of $400,000 a
Exactly.
year. 1,000,000 people dead, you're getting rich. 1,000,000 people dead, you're using federal employees to get cash awards for you. 1,000,000 people dead, and you're here taking the fifth because you don't want to admit that what really happened in all that time was a multi-month, multi-year course of self-dealing. Isn't that true, Dr. Fauci?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What I also don't understand is, like, with his pension, it's not like he ever has to work again. He could get extra money from speaking engagements, like if he was to speak somewhere. Since he's a medical doctor, he could speak at places like Harvard, Columbia, Yale. He could speak at those places and get a pretty handsome check from the speaking fee. He could speak at events, book deals, all those things he could do. So it's not like he doesn't have the ability to make more money through that. He could have easily become a millionaire through those means, like a lot of people do. But yet he chose to do this. Again, I just don't understand why. Did he? Hey, this is a thought, guys. This is a thought right now. Did he owe money? Did he owe money to certain people? Don't know who, but did he owe money to certain people that if he didn't pay it back, that it could have gotten him into some even more serious trouble than he is now? I don't know. You never know who these people talk to.
Yeah, well, silence is admission. And here's the real thing. At the end of the day, it wasn't just about the money, really, was it? It was really about a power trip. I mean, through all of this, you want to be the most famous scientist in the world. You were so focused on getting every award and every drop of cash that you could, all because you wanted to be on TV. You wanted to be the sun god of science. You wanted to be the guy who was in charge of it all. You wanted to lambast Trump. You wanted to make sure that nobody else stole your spotlight. You wanted to be the guy.
So think about that for a second, guys. If that was one of the motivations. Dr. Fauci is 85 years old right now. Let's say he was to be labeled by the Democrats, more specifically, as the greatest scientist in modern history, right? Then any candidate that would run for president in the future, or governor, senator, whatever, if he were to endorse them, that would give them more credibility in the eyes of the people that support him. That's quite a bit of power there. Not saying that's right. I'm just saying that could be a possibility.
You had time to sit for InStyle magazine. Here's what you were doing with your time. You could sit for InStyle magazine.
The good. Wait. They're calling him the good doctor. Are you serious? I didn't even see that when I saw this hearing. The good doctor. They're calling him the good doctor.
And answer questions for the American people. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you're here taking the fifth. You could sit for InStyle magazine and get $1 million in cash awards. But now the cat's got your tongue. I bet he does.
The good doctor.
I tell you what, here's my conclusion from all of this. This was really all about you the whole time. Somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time. I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did, how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you.
Oh, and by the way, guys, I did some research and I found out that, and you can look this up. You can look this up yourself. Dr. Fauci also advised President Obama during the swine flu pandemic, the Ebola virus, and the Zika virus. He advised President Obama in all of those scenarios. Just a thought that I thought you guys would be interested in.
You became a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a liar. And you've lied to the American people, and you've lied to this body. And you've disgraced your profession by doing it. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. And I hope you'll go home and write that in your diary.
Well, there you have it, guys. That was one of the portions of the congressional hearing. Again, the hearing's about 3 hours long. So if you guys want to check that out, I encourage you to do so, to see even more times that he pleads the fifth. I encourage you to do that. But that's the video I have for you guys this evening. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you never miss a video that I come up with. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.